Um, Look, I think clearly we're still continuing where we sort of set out from this time last year when I spoke to you about widening the pool of players. We've looked at some guys, we've seen some guys, and then this gives us perhaps this series and the next one. To my mind, and I've spoken to the selectors about it already, probably the last sort of opportunities to see guys that we've discussed and not had the opportunity to see yet. I think by the time we get into the Pakistan and then into certainly the Sri Lanka series into the new year, then we'll be looking to pick the team that we think is most likely to be the team to go to the World Cup. So this is still an opportunity to see one or two other players.
How do you view the Sri Lanka?
It's a good question. I think if you saw the way we've played, especially the first couple of games in Sri Lanka, where we played a really sort of positive, sort of, we took a really positive approach to the game and the way we played, trying to score quickly and not so much thinking about the opposition, about trying to come up with a style of play that we want to take forward. And if somebody comes in and they can adjust quickly to that and fit into that, then that person is obviously somebody that we'd be interested in taking forward with us.
So it's just, where he bowled the ball, where he...
I think he'd still be happy to get 5 for 20, but yeah. But you're right. It's again we sort of sat down, myself and Faf, and one or two of the seniors and looked at. I want to call it the journey towards where we're going towards the World Cup and what we need to do if we're going to win the World Cup, the way we need to be playing. And these games are giving us opportunities to look at players, but then also see how players can fit into that sort of system, if you want to call it that we want to play. And the first couple of games in Sri Lanka were exactly the way that we wanted to approach the sort of 50 over format.
Oh, just talking about playing a bit more aggressively.
Okay, so I would imagine the Dean's selection caused a little bit of a talking point, and that is purely. So what we've said is we've tried to give opportunities, and if you look at the opportunities that we've given over the last certain 12 months, we've picked a lot of youngsters. When you look at this squad that we have right now, Faf is missing, Quinny's missing. There's somebody else missing. There's quite a few guys missing. Hashim is missing, and there's no real seniors, if you like. And Dean is a like for like swap for Hash. When you think about the World Cup, this is thinking a little bit further ahead. When you think about the World Cup, and then you think about Dean's record with almost every country that he's played for in England, then clearly he comes into the conversation. So this gives us an opportunity to see Dean as a like-for-like replacement for Hash, and to see how he goes. He's always made it clear that he's still keen on playing one-day international cricket, and this gives us an opportunity to see him in that position.
What's your expectations of
Dale? Well, once Dale is fit, to me, he's still one of the best two bowlers in the country, other than KG. And he's gone away and he's proven his fitness, and he's fit now, so he comes back in and we see how he goes in the next couple of games. He's somebody that is still obviously very passionate about playing for his country, and we'll just see. We'll make an assessment on Dale in the next, hopefully this series and hopefully in the Australia series in the next 6 games, and then we see how we go forward from there.
expecting a bit of a senior figure lacking?
Absolutely, yeah. And his experience, and he does that naturally anyway, because that's the sort of guy he is. He's talking to the guys around the group. KG and Lungi and Gidi did obviously very well in Sri Lanka, and to have his experience there, whether he plays or not, there's nothing to say he's going to play every game, but to have him in and around the dressing room and in and around the nets, passing on his experience, can only be a good thing for those young guys. Well, Temba is obviously still in the conversation. He's still a part of it, but you can only pick 14. And unfortunately, this time he misses out. But that doesn't mean that that's the end of him going forward. There's still, like I said, more opportunities for players like Temba to come back in. And we've had a look at Temba already. We've seen Temba already. and this gives us an opportunity to see somebody else. Yeah, well, look, we wanted to see Klaassen a bit longer, and Christian Jonker came in and did quite well for us in the T20. His numbers in the franchise system is pretty good, and what we set out to do from the outset is to try and have almost 2 players for every position. We know what David can do. Obviously, he's not had a lot of runs recently, but again, this is an opportunity for us to see Christian Jonker in that position, so Christian and David can then we can then assess both of them and then see which one of those 2 we can take forward.
Ottis as a batsman.
Yes, it was, and I liked. He came in and it was just uncomplicated. You know what I mean? He just sort of watched the ball and hit it. He obviously understood his game and his strengths. He played really well. He also understood that he probably, if you're going to play international T20 cricket, you need to be a little bit fitter. So he's gone away and worked hard on that, and hopefully he can give a really good account of himself over the next series.
Who those players will be?
It's a good question. I think we know we've got the guys that were in Sri Lanka. We've got Morris, who's been injured. We've got Vernon Philander, who's still in the picture. So again, it is getting those guys to a place where, and a lot of it will be about them catching form as well. So at the moment, the 2 all-rounders we had in Sri Lanka, young guys, a little bit of an experience showed in their games over there, and the easy thing would be to come back and say, okay, they didn't do well enough, so we move on. But when you're giving a guy an opportunity, you have to, I feel, exhaust it before you move on to somebody else. We know that Morris is there, and once Morris is fit, he'll most likely come back into the picture. But we want to give these two guys that we have here as much opportunity as possible to catch form.
Does someone I'm quite happy that
No, not necessarily. I think you want to. My problem for Morris, okay, there's a little bit of a cricket problem, but the bigger problem is fitness, I think. Not in terms of general fitness, but in terms of staying on the park, because Morris, in the last 3 years, I've had a lot of injury issues, more so than cricket issues. And I think once he's fit and strong, then I think his real talent will come to the fore. And that's a message that I've given him already. So we know what Morris can do. We want Morris to be as fit as he can to allow himself to do what we know he's capable of doing. So, but him being, obviously he's back to fitness now and he's playing for the Titans, which is fantastic. And if he can play the next month and a half, 2 months with the Titans and get really hardened to cricket, then that's obviously very good for us. If we clean them up too quickly, we might not get to see the batters. So, we obviously, when you set out on this journey to try and find players, and then you find the combination of Ngidi and Rabada, and then Imran Tahir has always been our number 1. We've said that, so it's really good to have him back. But Shamsi's also put himself really in the picture. So you got Tahir and Shamsi. You've got 4 guys that you're almost sure of at the moment. Then you think, well, let's try and give these guys, get them playing together as quickly as possible so that they can start to understand their roles and gel nicely into the team. And then from a batting point of view, obviously we've still got a few holes that we need to fill with the batting, and that's why we're looking at other batters to see how they go. But we still want the batters to go out and really, every person that gets an opportunity now will know that there will be less and less opportunities going forward. So you have to make every opportunity you get count at this stage. Yeah, for sure, and we want it to be as competitive as possible, and in sport, not just in cricket, but in sport in general, you can't take anything for granted. So I remember sitting here last year when I first arrived, a little bit nervous, and we were playing against Bangladesh, and everybody was, well, it's only Bangladesh, and you're supposed to beat them, but we still had to go out and compete, and we still had to go out and play, and obviously we played very well, and it's the same, the message is the same. You can't take any opposition in international sport for granted. Those guys have got their own reasons for coming here and wanting to do well and wanting to turn over the neighbors, you know. So we have to make sure that whether we have new guys or not, that the attitude that we bring to the games are exactly where we need to be. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure we'll get rolled over if our attitudes aren't where they need to be.
Can I ask just something a little bit West Indies or even the county circuit?
It's a difficult question for me to answer because with the way the schedules are, I haven't seen enough of the domestic 4-day cricket. You know, what I will say is that I think you've got a lot of obviously very good coaches in Mark Boucher and people like that working in the domestic structure that have played international cricket, so they know what an international cricketer should look like, I think. So I would think that those guys would then be trying to, of course, win titles for their franchises, because that's what they're paid to do, I guess, but also produce international players. You know, I think as a coach, if you win a title, or if you don't win a title, but you put 3 guys into the international setup, and not just put him there, but put him there and he has a game that can stand up to international level, then I would think that you're also still doing a great job. You know, coaching in franchise cricket is however many teams, and only one team can win the tournament. So if the one team wins the tournament and then 3 other guys put quality players into the Proteas setup, then those other guys that didn't win the tournament are also doing a good job, you know. And so we have a lot of dialogue. We speak quite often about what we're looking for from players in franchise cricket, and hopefully they're getting the messages that we're sending back, and but I think also that they know, you know. Mark Boucher knows what an international cricketer should look like. He's I guess blessed with that. He's got a lot of Protea guys there, but there's also some guys that in his system that he will think, this is where you are now, and if you want to be a Protea, then these are steps that you need to take. And every other coach in the franchise system will be trying to work towards that, I would imagine.
So are you happy with come to the Proteas?
Yeah, well, yeah, of course. They Aidan Markram come out of the franchise system and scored 1,000 runs last year in Test cricket. You know, Ngidi came out of the franchise system and was outstanding. You know, so it would be wrong of me to be anything other than positive, I think, about the franchise system, because for the year that I've been here, the guys that I've seen have come in and made a mark, you know, and they came from franchise cricket.